Hey everybody, my name is Dave, and I am going to be showing you how to create a game with Shiva. The first thing I'm going to do here inside Shiva is create a new project. I actually really like to use Dropbox to create projects, uh, project folders, because I use several different computers with Shiva on them, and when I do this, it syncs across all the different computers that I'm using. So it's actually really nice the way it works out. So the first thing I did is I set up a new project folder, and I'm going to go ahead and change the display size just to full size to work with, and I'll create a new game. There's lots of different ways you can create a new game. You can do just a right click inside this folder and create game. You can also go up here and do create game, or if you're in the default view like this, you can go to game create. So Shiva usually gives you several different ways to do the same thing. I'm going to call this little game RPG demo. I'm going to double click on it to open it. I usually like to have the AI model up here, and in this view I usually like to have the script editor. I tend to keep the Explorer open down here, but I go back and forth between Explorer and the log viewer. This area up here I tend to use for all the other different modules, including particle editor and stuff like that. But anyway, once I have a basic game just created, the first thing I do is I usually create an AI. And I guess I've come up with sort of like a habit I get into in creating game AIs, depending on what this one is. I don't just call it main AI. I usually give it something before the main AI. The reason I do that is because sometimes I will use a project to start another project. And if I do that, if I want to import the project and have it live alongside another project, if I have everything named main AI, then they would overwrite each other. So I may want to have another project imported into this one, just so that I can reference the scripts and stuff and see how I did certain things to save a lot of time. So rather than repurpose or something like that, or to figure out which version of which I'm using, I just name my AIs differently. Now this tends to become a little bit of a pain in the butt, I guess, because when you name something here, obviously any other script that references main AI will have a problem. But there's a way I can get around that. And also, one thing you can't get around is that HUD screens, HUDs, which are user interface screens, which reference functions in, they're tied to specific AI. So I would have to go in and change things that reference main AI to other, to my new one. So, but there's a neat way to get around that too. So now that I have a basic project created, here we have an empty AI just waiting for us to add stuff, and I usually add a default scene as well. RPG scene 1. Let's see, it's automatically going to get added to the project in here. Now there's obviously no code and no scene to run yet, so if I go to the scene viewer, the scene is already open because I just created it. I'm going to close it, and I'll run it, and we have a black screen because we haven't done anything yet. And that is the basics of starting up a new game.